Hello dear students of class 9th, welcome to economics class. I hope all of you are fit and healthy. Students, in this video, I shall be continuing with the question answers of chapter 3rd of economics, that is poverty as a challenge. So students, in the previous video, I explained till question number 4th, and in this video, I shall be continuing with the question answers, and I'll be continuing with question number 5th. So let us deal with the 5th question. So the question is given on the screen. So the question is, identify the social and economic groups which are most vulnerable to poverty in India. See, I have already explained you about the vulnerable groups that are there in our country. So you need to identify that who are the social groups and the economic groups who are vulnerable. So if I talk about the social groups, then there are basically two social groups that are there in our country who are more vulnerable to poverty. The first is scheduled castes and the second is scheduled tribes. And if I talk about the economic groups, then the first economic group is rural agricultural labor households and the other one is urban agricultural labor household. That means one is related to village and the other one is related to the cities. So I hope this question is clear to everybody. See, this question was basically to identify the social groups and the economic groups that are there in our society. Now let's proceed with the next question, that is question number 6th. So question number 6th is, give an account of interstate disparities of poverty in India. Students, disparity means difference. So you will find difference with context to poverty among different states. See, the proportion of poor is not the same in every state. In some states there are more poor people, while in other states there are less poor people. And also let me tell you that the success rate of reducing poverty, that also varies from state to state. That means in some states poverty is reduced successfully, while in other states poverty is not reduced successfully. So it varies from state to state. Now if I talk about the question, it is regarding interstate disparities. So as you can see this graph is very helpful for you to answer this question. See students, as you can see, the national average poverty, that means the national poverty of our country is 21.9. This is the average poverty of our country, or you can say 22%. Now let me talk about the states. You can see there are so many states given and the ratios are also given. So let us see some of the states. See, if I talk about states like Madhya Pradesh, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Odisha, they had high poverty level in India, and Bihar and Odisha, they continue to be the two poorest states with poverty ratios of 33.7 and 32.6%. So they are considered to be the poorest states respectively. Now why they are considered to be the poorest states? Because of low level of development, there is low level of infrastructural development, then there are more vulnerable groups in these states, then these states are highly populated. So these are the reasons why they are relatively not prosperous than the other states. Now let me talk about the prosperous states who have developed. See students, there has been a significant decline in poverty in some of the states like Kerala, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and West Bengal. Now what is the reason of decline in poverty? See, if I talk about Kerala, then the people of Kerala, or I would say the government of Kerala, they have invested in human capital. That means education and health. If I talk about Maharashtra, then because of industrialization, because of growing of industries, Maharashtra has developed and the poverty ratios have declined. If I talk about Andhra Pradesh, then because of several land reforms, that state has also declined the poverty ratios. Tamil Nadu, then due to the government policies, there were several government policies there were several government policies that were implemented. So because of them, the poverty ratios have declined. Again, if I talk about Gujarat, then because of industrialization, because of textile industries, there are so many textile industries in Gujarat. So these states have significantly declined in their poverty ratios. So I hope you can understand the disparities between states that you call as interstate disparities. That means in some states the condition is quite good, while in some states the condition is relatively very poor. So I hope this question is clear to everybody. Now students, let's move to the next question. Our next question is, describe global poverty trends. So in the previous question, we dealt with interstate disparities. That means in India only, what is the ratio, how it has declined, or what is the status of states with context to poverty. Now the question is about global level. See, poverty is not only in our country, but poverty, this problem, this issue of poverty is in the entire world. The entire world is facing this issue. So students, let me tell you that poverty has definitely declined substantially. And as you can see the graph, from this graph it is very evident that how poverty has declined and in which countries poverty has declined. So let us analyze this data. As you can see that poverty has declined substantially in countries like China and Southeast Asian countries like Japan, Indonesia, Myanmar, Thailand. Why poverty has declined? It has declined as a result of rapid economic growth and massive investments in human resource development. These countries, they have invested more in human capital, in human resource, that means education and health. And let me tell you, if a country is investing in human capital, then that country is bound to develop. So this is one reason. Now let me talk about other countries. So like countries like South Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan. The poverty ratio has declined. It has also declined rapidly. That means it has reduced to about 34%. Now let me talk about the sub-Saharan Africa. In sub-Saharan Africa, poverty, in fact, it declined from 51% in 2005 to 41% in 2015. That means a substantial decline in poverty can be seen here, right? Now if I talk about the Latin American countries like South America, Mexico, see the ratio of poverty, it has also declined. It has declined from 10% to 2005 to 4% in 2015. That means initially also poverty, the ratio of poverty was less in that area, in those countries, but that also has declined. From 10% it came down to 4% in 2015. So I hope the poverty ratios or the poverty trends at global level is also clear to everybody. So this means poverty is not only in our country, but it is there in the entire world. Now students, let's move to the next question, that is question number 8th. So question number 8th is, describe I'm saying it again. So students, let's move to the next question, that is question number 8th. So question number 8th is, describe current government strategy of poverty alleviation. So students, if I talk about the government strategies, then the government has made several strategies to eradicate poverty. And let me tell you that the strategy of government is basically based on two plans or two ways. The first is economic growth and the second one is targeted anti-poverty programs or measures. Now let us see both of them one by one. If I talk about economic growth, see, economic growth is very important. How economic growth can be done? Economic growth can be done with the help of infrastructure, by constructing schools, by constructing colleges, and several other constructions can be done to ensure economic growth. If schools will be made, then what will happen? The children will be encouraged to go to schools, girls will be encouraged to go to schools, and when children will go to school, what they will get? They will get access to quality education. Once they get educated, they will have more job opportunities. There will be several opportunities that will be available for them, and once opportunities are available to them, what will happen? Automatically poverty will be reduced. Definitely, growing more industries, industrialization, that will also help in economic growth. So growing more and more industries, this is also one important point that will come under this this topic, that is economic growth. So students, awareness is being spread across the nation specifying the importance of education. See, education is very important and the country needs to invest in human resource or human capital, that is education and health. If a person has access to education, if the person is healthy, then definitely that person is going to develop and ultimately the nation is going to develop. So we need to give stress on economic growth, we need to give stress on education and health, and this can be done by increasing the literacy level. And students, if I talk about the targeted anti-poverty measures, then there are several anti-poverty measures and programs that are launched by the government, and some of them are given here. So the first one is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005, which is called as Manrega. Then we have Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana. Next we have Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana. So these are some of the schemes, some of the programs that are launched by the government in order to help the targeted group, in order to help the vulnerable section of the society, so that they can uplift themselves and they can come out of that vicious circle of poverty. So I hope this question is clear to everybody. Now students, let's move to the last question, that is question number 9th. So question number 9th is, answer the following questions briefly. So in question number 9th, there are 3 questions given. So we will be discussing all the 3 questions one by one. So the first question is, what do you understand by human poverty? Students, if I talk about human poverty, then let me tell you that in India, the definition of poverty is limited. It is restricted to only economic growth, the only economic status of a person. It is restricted. If a person is earning rupees 100, suppose rupees 100 is the standard or the benchmark that is set for poor, the person who is earning less than rupees 100 will be considered poor, and a person who is earning more than rupees 100 will be considered not poor. Then that is not enough, because it makes no difference for a person who is earning rupees 99 and a person who is earning rupees 105 or 101. There will be no difference at all. So we need to extend our views, we need to broaden our concept. We have only limited this definition, but let me tell you that poverty is a broad concept. It is not only poverty, it is human poverty. So we should not only restrict ourselves to economic status of the person, rather it spreads in various other sectors, which includes lack of education, negligence of healthcare system, discrimination and disparity. So all these factors should be taken into consideration when we talk about human poverty. Then only our country will, then only we will be able to eradicate poverty from our country, from the world. So this is human poverty. That means including all these factors, including all these points, not only talking about economic status, but about all these other factors too. Alright. So I hope this question is clear. Now students, let's move to the next question. So the next question is, who are the poorest of the poor? See, I already explained you. The women, female infants and the elderly people in the family, they are considered to be poorest of the poor. Now, why are they considered poorest of the poor? Because these people, they are more vulnerable to poverty. They suffer the most and they are deprived of the maximum necessities of life. So that is why they are considered as the poorest of the poor, because they are not independent. They are dependent for their survival on somebody else. That is why they are called as poorest of the poor. Definitely a family is poor, but in that family, this category is more vulnerable to poverty. So they are called as poorest of the poor. Now students, let's move to the last question, that is question number 3, part 3 of this question. So the question is, what are the important or main features of National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005? Now if I talk about this, that is NREGA, which later changed to MNREGA, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. Then in this what happens? It aims to provide 100 days of wage employment to every household to ensure livelihood security. So it is giving 100 days of guaranteed work. It is giving 100 days of assured work to every household. This is one important point. Next students, 1/3 of the proposed job under this scheme has been reserved for women. That means not only the men, but also women are included in this scheme, in this policy of government. And this program aimed at sustainable development. Why? To address the cause of drought, deforestation and soil erosion. So this is also one aim of this program that is launched by the government. And in this, not only the women, but the other vulnerable sections of the society, that is SC, STs, they are also included. And if I talk about their share, then the share of ST, that is scheduled tribe, is 23%, the share of scheduled caste is 17% and the share of women is 53% in this program that is launched by the government. So I hope all the points related to this question or related to this program is clear to everybody. So students, I have completed this chapter with explanation and question answers. So I hope all the topics and all the questions are clear to everybody. So with this note, thank you so much. I'll meet you in the next video with the next chapter. Till then, thank you so much. Do take very good care of yourselves and thank you so much for listening.